do it. So to actually do something, that moment when you finally do that thing, after all the preparation, maybe technical preparation as well, in a lot of cases technical preparation, and then you can actually shoot that photo or do that trick or whatever. And a good example is driving a car. You can, when you learn to drive a car, at first you're checking where the gears are, if it's a manual, where the gears are and how the brake and clutch works and how to use the handbrake to do a hill start, those kinds of things. But then everything becomes automatic at some point. And then you expand as well. It's not just automatic. You start to develop skills. You start to take the corners more smoothly or a bit faster, or you refine all these things and you get better and better. And depending on the person, of course, some people end up racing cars and stuff, but others just drive around as normal. So there's all different levels as well. And then with photography as well, out taking photos. Sometimes, you'll go out in nature or something and be looking for a scene, but that's probably the wrong thing to do. You need to be in the moment, always in the moment, and let that scene find you. And with experience as well, you might be able to see something that's coming with when the light changes a bit more, then you can see that there's a photo there. So then you can still be in that moment, just waiting, and then you make that capture as well. But for me, there always should be that feeling in there. You should be amazed, basically, by the thing, because I can see photos as well where there's calculations. You can almost hear the calculation. Someone's calculated when the moon will be rising and what the light will be like, and maybe there's the first layer of ice on a lake or something like that. And it looks too perfect, too calculated, and the person has been back there multiple times as well. So it's all just a calculation. It looks beautiful, but that emotion of finding that thing or that moment just isn't there for me. And I'd prefer that to capture the emotion. I don't want to fire the shutter unless I really feel that emotion. And so that was a key as well, to bridge that gap between taking the photo and capturing that emotion as well. So you get a aesthetically pleasing photo that isn't just of the scene. Hopefully it captures that emotion as well. So it might not be the most logical layout, the most logical composition. You might have something else in the foreground. And I hear people talk about that as well, just to put something in the foreground. Yeah, it looks good, and you have something in the foreground and then mid-ground and then mountains or something in the background. Maybe a river going back. It's a classic composition, and it's almost a cliche. But just to put something in the foreground for the sake of having it in the foreground, then it's just a composition. There should ideally be some emotion there and connection, and maybe some people don't even feel that, but I hopefully feel that. I always have that connection with nature, but people can start to feel it as well if they spend more time in nature. So let's go back to the chronology. So out of Fiji when I was 6 years old, and then back in Hobart, still going through the bush, still exploring and stuff, and access to video cameras as well. We made videos. It was easier probably to make videos than to shoot still photography, because with still photography you were using film back in those days, so there was costs involved all the time, and you only had one chance to get something right as well. But with a video, then you could just shoot and review the stuff as well, and also you could pause things and extract the images as well later on. So that was like the initial stages of what we have now, where the still cameras are shooting at 24 frames a second or more. So you're just effectively shooting video, and then you just select the best frame. And I think probably sports photographers and people like that are forced into shooting like that because they can't afford to miss the shot, so they have to get everything. But everyone ends up with the same shot then, rather than one person who just shoots a single frame and still captures that moment just from a single frame. I think that's the skill that I really enjoy. and shooting skating photography and stuff, and videos and whatnot, then I had to know where the peak of tricks were and stuff, and I really enjoyed feeling that. And I had an old Nikon camera, F90X, which would do that for me. It was like a weapon. You press the shutter and it actually fired at that time, so it was predictable. It was a professional tool. Whereas maybe a different camera, there might have been a delay. As long as you can predict the delay, then you can still use the camera effectively. You just need to know. It just needs to be predictable, basically. But if it's unpredictable, then yeah, it's very hard to get consistent shots. You can't really rely on equipment like that. So anyway, shooting photos and videos and working with that kind of stuff at school as well, in different classes and things. And then we get to a point where I was about to start university and went to get some new shoes as well, and Dad was going away for a trip, and then he said that he would be back for my birthday, which I think was going to be on the Monday, and he didn't come back, basically. So someone found him after 5 or 6 days, I think, and then they said that he probably died on the 28th of March. So that was of a heart attack. And being a kid, basically, then I didn't really think so much about that he had an operation, say 10 years before, I think it was, and that probably all the adults knew that he was on limited time and stuff. And you could debate whether it might have been better to just leave him as he was without the operation, or to have the operation, because at that time it was open heart surgery, so you have to open up the whole rib cage, and it's a massive stress for the body. So the body like pumps out chemicals, I suppose, in the body that tell it to kill itself. So he got depression and all the rest of it after the operation, and probably lost a lot of confidence and everything just because he felt weaker and stuff. But anyway, he was out in the southwest of Tasmania, and he died out there. So after that, then that's what I was saying. I just doubled down, I suppose, on life and experiences and things, and to do these things, to capture the moment, or to live in the moment, and not to do. Yeah, I could have gone down some crazy path or something, but I wanted to explore. I still wanted to see, go up mountains and stuff. That was my prime motivation, rather than going out drinking or something like that, and partying and all that kind of stuff, which some people might interpret as living in the moment. And that's great as well, if they really enjoy that, because there's some people who really, really enjoy that. They should do that. But for me, at that time anyway, the enjoyment was to explore, and it still is, of course. So I ended up in northern Queensland, in Townsville, living on a yacht for 6 months called the Illusion, and working out at a gold mine and driving around there and helping out and whatnot. And then going up Castle Hill, which is close to Townsville as well, up and down there a few times, and into the jungle and up into the Daintree. So in those kinds of environments, and I love those kinds of environments. I love the environment in Tasmania with the wild out there, and I'll talk about that much more later, because I go on a trip later on of 3 weeks out there, so I'll talk about that in depth. But up in the Daintree as well, the tropical areas of Australia, they're amazing as well. And so I was up on this yacht for 6 months, and then after that saved all the money that I could, went back down to Sydney, all down the coast by bus, and I think it was $25 or something like that, something ridiculous that stage. It was 1998, and went down to Sydney, stayed with my sister for a while, and then went to South America. Spent all my money to go to South America, and went through Tahiti, Auckland, Tahiti, Easter Island on the way, and then landed in Santiago, Chile. And that was incredible to land there. And I landed there like this, in the cold with a singlet on, and people thought I was crazy, I suppose, but it blew my mind, because then there was no social media. There was just the start, the inception of Hotmail and stuff, email and everything. And so when you went to a place like that, then you were really isolated. I wrote postcards from there. But I arrived in Santiago de Chile, got a taxi into the city, arrived at my hotel and crashed out. And I don't sleep much. I can operate on about 4 hours of sleep a night, but the most I've ever slept, I think, is about 7 hours. And that was one of those nights. 7 hours of deep, deep sleep after I don't know how long, 30 hours on planes or something like that. But it was one of the few times in my life where I just slept in blackness. Total, deep sleep. And so I'll leave it there as we arrive in South America for the first time in 1998.